Hi, my name is Deanna Garola, and I am a career counselor here at SMC, but I'm also the internship program coordinator, and we're going to take you through a quick overview of the internship orientation process. This isn't meant to be like, super long, everybody has stuff to do, but I wanted to kind of introduce myself and also, show you and talk you through the different slides, but please feel free. I would strongly, strongly encourage you to take notes, either pause this video as you're going through it or just come back to the different slides because the quiz that you will be required to take in order to get enrolled in the internship course is based a lot on the information that is on these slides. Okay, so let's go ahead and move forward here. All right, before we get started, I want to mention that in order to be part of this internship program, you do need to already have an internship in place. So this program is not meant to help you find an internship. This is after you have found an internship, you're excited, you've applied, you've interviewed, and they've said, hey, we want you to be our intern. At that point is when you should start, looking at this orientation, looking at what internship class you should be enrolling in, okay? So, and there are different processes for domestic and international students, which we will talk about during this as well. There are two PowerPoints. This one is the internship orientation, and the other one is how to get internship course credit, which is a little bit shorter, but they both have equal amounts of very important information. So the table of contents here, we're going to go through the following. I'm not going to read through everything on every slide because that just takes up a lot of time. And, I'm sure some of you will be faster or slower. So I'm just going to try and hit the high points of each of the slides and really make sure that you understand what the slides are trying to say. All right, so we're going to go through internship classes, what happens in an internship class, learning objectives, what you need to tell your employer, tips to succeed, and then there's the quiz, okay? So the link to the quiz, I believe, is going to be on the website. It's not on this PowerPoint because we do need to have access to it to change it every semester. But the quiz is something that, again, all the information is here. So, if you take notes or if you want to go back to it as you're taking the quiz, you might be able to do that as well, okay? So internship classes, why do internship classes exist? So if you're an international student or you're participating in an unpaid internship, labor laws and Title V education code require you to be enrolled in an internship course. So that's very, very important, okay? If you're a domestic student, someone who lives within the US and the internship is paid, class credit is optional. However, SMC's internship course units transfer to all 23 schools in the Cal State University system. The credits are not accepted at any schools in the UC system, USC, or any other private universities. But I will tell you that being involved in an internship or an internship program or a class is extremely valuable on your resume to future employers, to your future college you're transferring to. So even if the units don't transfer, just understand that you're building your network, you're building your work skills, you're looking well-rounded as a student because you're showing your employer or your future university that you have gone outside your comfort zone, done a little above and beyond things than just going to school, doing homework, getting that great GPA, okay? Not only that, like I mentioned, networking, you never know, some of these internships could develop into a job, a career, you could gain a mentor from them. There's a lot of things that come out of an internship besides whether or not you're getting course credit, okay? So a lot of students really, really benefit from doing multiple internships. And I tell students that employers are expecting you to have had 3 to 4 internships before you're done with college. So they are very, very important. Okay. I actually got this job from an internship with SMC, so I can advocate for internships as well. Is there more than one kind of internship class? There are general internship courses and major specific internship courses. Then how do you know which one to choose? That's based on a few things. So is your internship related to your major or your career, or are you still exploring? If that's the case, it would be a general internship course. If you know specifically what major you're going after and what career, you might want to look into the major specific internship courses that we have available that are taught by instructors in that actual area, okay? And then you want to consider how many hours you'll be working, okay? So we've broken down the internship classes. These are general internship classes that we have available, okay? So these are the ones that are actually taught by me, okay? So we have Counseling 90, 90A, actually it should be 90A, 90B, 90C, 90D, but each of those have different units and they have different minimum work hours required per semester, okay? So if we look, for example, at counseling 90A, that is 1 unit, that equals 60 units that you are required minimum, unpaid, that you're required to work per semester. But if you're working a paid internship, if the 75 is the minimum, okay? This means if you can't meet these, you won't pass your internship class and you can't do this program, okay? If you think, oh, you're going to be working more than that, then you can go down to 90, what will be B, C, and D, okay? Something to note down here, we do have a little asterisk. International students cannot exceed 20 hours a week, okay? Cannot do it, okay? For spring and fall, this is a really big rule for us, a really big, you know, we can't really be flexible with that. But summer and winter, it doesn't matter, okay? So if you know that you're like, oh, I want to work a lot of hours and there's 240 hours, you have to really calculate how many weeks are left in the semester, number one, and if you can actually do that without going over 20 hours a week for you. If you start your internship at the beginning, the very, very, very beginning of spring or fall, you should have enough time to do less than 20 hours a week and not go over that. But if you enroll at the very end of our enrollment period, which is almost halfway through the semester, you most likely won't be able to fit in 240 or 300 hours without going over 20 hours a week. Again, this is only applicable to international students. For domestic students, you're able to work as much as you want, okay? So which internship class should you choose? Now, these are the major specific internship courses based around majors, the course titles, and the instructors, okay? Here's some more. If you don't see your majors there could be additional ones. I mean, everything changes all the time. So you can reach out to your department chair of that area and see if they have an internship course that isn't listed here. Maybe it's brand new, just got offered this year, okay? So major focused internship courses are generally only offered in spring and fall. So keep that in mind that these major/career specific internship courses may not be available in summer and winter. So how many internships can you have? So SMC interns may earn between 1 to 16 units of internship credits while enrolled at Santa Monica College. 16 units of internship credit is the maximum allowed and can be achieved by taking a combination of general and/or major-specific internship courses sporadically as shown on the chart below. So current course repeatability law stipulates that internship courses can only be repeated once. In other words, after you've taken the same internship course twice, you must enroll in a different internship course moving forward, okay? So additionally, interns are only allowed to have 1 unpaid internship per semester. You can work 2 internships at once if you want. One could be unpaid, one could be paid, but only one can, be involved in the internship program and give you academic credit. We cannot count 2 internships. So make sure you understand that the internship that you're doing, if you're doing 2 of them, make sure that that one that you're enrolled in is actually meeting the minimum requirements to pass the class, right? You're doing your minimum hours, so to speak. So what happens in an internship class? So the professor, me, Deanna Garola, I'm the instructor of all the general internship courses. So all the counseling 90A through D series, okay? The syllabus and all course assignments will be on Canvas. There will be no in-person meetings. However, we do, and we'll state this a little bit later, we do require one meeting with me over Zoom. It could be over Zoom, it could be a phone call, just to kind of check in, see how you're doing and see if you have any questions, okay? So the grading for the internship class is pass, no pass. There are no letter grades. If you do not successfully pass an internship course, you will be required to set up an appointment with your instructor, and the instructor will consult with the Career Center faculty leader to get approval for you to participate in an internship course in the future. Approvals are not guaranteed and will be granted or denied at their discretion. So make it easy on yourself and just make sure you do the requirements to pass the class, and that way you don't have to repeat it or get special permission to repeat it. So what happens in an internship class? I'm not going to go through this complete page. There's a lot of information here for you. So after you enroll in an internship class, before you actually get there, of course, we mentioned in the beginning, you need to already have your internship locked in place, right? You need to do this orientation and the quiz, okay? And then you will start to do some forums and you'll do your learning objectives, okay? Learning objectives, there's 3 of them. I will see them. You'll be posting them on Canvas. Your employer will be aware of them. So they're really, really important because they guide your internship. There's an employer contact information thing that you will fill out during the class as one of your assignments. There is, the bulk of it is your work summary or your log. You know, you entering your hours and then kind of giving a quick summary on what you learned that week or what you did. Meeting with your instructor, me, we talked about that already. Schedule a one-time meeting, could be Zoom, could be phone call to discuss your progress. And there is a final essay at the end of the semester. More of these details will be on Canvas and in your syllabus. If you decide to enroll in the class and you make it in there, you're eligible, everything falls into place. Okay, 2 weeks before the end of the semester, I do send out an employer evaluation to your employers for all your internships. And we ask how you did. We'll ask about, you know, your work ethic and all of, if you met your hours and all of that stuff, okay? Working your agreed hours. So make sure you speak with your supervisor in advance about your work hours. Make sure they understand that if you're enrolled in Counseling 90A, for example, that you're required to work 60 hours at least, right? You know, and that they're aware of that. And make sure that you understand that failure to work these hours means that you're not going to pass the class. Okay, so that's something that you really need to commit to, making sure that you understand. Any hours, we have a lot of students ask about, you know, they worked an internship in the summer, they worked it last spring, now they want to be part of the internship program, and can they count the hours that they did in summer, like 2 weeks ago, okay? No, you can't. You can only count hours after you've officially been enrolled in the internship program. Can't count any hours that come before that, okay? So keep that in mind. And read over the rest of these. I'm not going to go through all of them, but want to make sure you understand that your work schedule can be flexible. So you don't have to work if you're working a certain number of hours in the semester, you have to make sure you meet your hours for the semester, but you don't evenly have to put them in every week. So I mean, 1 week you might have finals or midterms, and you won't be able to work as many hours that week, but you might work more hours the week before and the week after. That's okay. You can work 5 hours 1 week, you can work 10 hours another, as long as you're meeting the minimum requirement for that class, okay, over the whole semester. So here's an example of a work summary that you'll be posting in Canvas as one of your assignments for the internship class. So this person wrote out the date, the time they worked, and the total number of hours, and then a little weekly summary here. Okay, and there's another example down here. So make this simple for yourself. Just do it in a Word document. You don't have to get all fancy with it, but definitely keep that log going, okay? That way you don't have to wait till the very end to submit it, right? Learning objectives. So this section is all about learning objectives, and what they are is they really give you the opportunity to work intellectually on projects and keep you focused during your internship process. Sometimes we have internships, we've heard of internships that you're not really learning much. You're doing office tasks like filing and getting somebody coffee and stuff. Those aren't internships that are allowing you to learn and expand and build your skills. So we have you identify 3 learning objectives so that we make sure that your internship is focused and that your employer is aware of meeting those learning objectives for you as well, okay? So by having constructive learning objectives, your employer will know precisely the skills you are interested in acquiring while you intern and will be held accountable for teaching you those specific skills. These need to be written out in a certain way. So one objective, this is kind of a no-no, what not to do. This one says, I will learn how to be a filmmaker. That objective is very, very broad. You could spend your lifetime learning how to become a filmmaker. So we would revise that, and I would do that. We would revise that to, I will learn how movie scripts are screened and selected for production. This is a little bit more specific, okay? It also helps to be measurable, but we're going to get into some other samples here, okay? There are 3 parts to learning objectives. Part 1 is what skill will be learned. An example of that is I will learn how to create a spreadsheet in Excel. Part 2 is how it will be learned, okay? An example is I will observe my supervisor create Excel spreadsheets. After observation, I will create at least 1 Excel spreadsheet and ask my supervisor to review my work and provide feedback. And part 3, you're required to state that the skill is attained. An example is, after I've performed the task at least once and receive feedback from my supervisor, I will create at least 10 additional spreadsheets to perfect my skills. My supervisor will critique each one. When the internship culminates, I will know how to create functional Excel spreadsheets. All of these things will be grouped into one little paragraph, which would be one learning objective, Okay. It is helpful to be measurable if possible. Like this one says, I will create at least 10 additional spreadsheets. It is helpful to kind of put a number in there if that's possible and if it applies to your learning objectives. So here are some more sample learning objectives. And again, you can hit pause here, take some notes, take a screenshot, or just come back to this. But this is what will be learned and how will it be learned. And here's some more here. What will be learned and how will it be learned? The more specific you are about learning objectives, the easier they are to obtain and the more manageable they are to complete. If you're too broad, sometimes you get a little overwhelmed. So what do I need to tell my employer? So semester dates and hours, which will be posted on the website. Every semester they will change, okay? Make sure your employer knows the hours you must complete to pass your internship course. We did mention this earlier. If they're not being met, you must let me, your professor, know as soon as possible. Make sure your employer knows your semester start and end dates. Check semester dates here at this website. Learning objectives. Your employer needs to review and approve your learning objectives, as do I, before you move forward. When working remotely, employers must assign enough projects that will generate enough work for interns to complete hours. We do have a form that employers will fill out to make sure they understand that all hours for the fall, actually, I don't know if this video is going to be watched in the spring or winter, but if it's fall of 2021, all internships are remote, and we will have a form that employers are filling out to make sure they understand that, okay? Tasks assigned and completed remotely must be reviewed and feedback must be provided by the employer. Intern evaluation forms. So we talked about this a little bit earlier. This will be emailed to supervisors from me or if you're doing a career or major specific internship course, from your instructors 2 weeks prior to the end of the semester. You will not see this evaluation. This will be something that is in between your instructor and your employer. And it does determine your overall, or it contributes to your overall grade. It's mandatory, okay? So it's very, very important that the employers fill these out. They'll be asked to rate your performance based on how well you completed your learning objectives and be asked a few additional questions about your work habits. It's important to receive a good evaluation to pass the class, okay? Again, the student is not allowed to ever handle the evaluation form. It should be between the instructor and the employer. You probably should never even see it, but you could definitely remind your employer toward the end of the semester that, hey, please be on the lookout for my evaluation form that's coming from my instructor, okay? Sometimes employers will ask students for a proof of enrollment letter that they are enrolled in an internship course at SMC. If that's the case, you need to email me and let me know. These are not automatic things that are emailed to the student unless the student asks, because not all employers require it, okay? So on this enrollment letter, your name will be on there, your internship course you're enrolled in, and the hours required to receive academic credit and relevant information about the internship program. Again, to receive this, you do have to reach out to me via email and let me know, hey, my employer at my internship is requiring to know, like, a proof of enrollment that I'm in an internship class enrolled at SMC. So we talked about the evaluation a little bit here, or a couple slides two slides back. I'm not going to read through all of these. I am going to leave that up to you. Part of this might be on the quiz. So if not, I would definitely make note of these and put them somewhere that you can see regularly, because they're all really, really good tips here. Some of it might be kind of common sense, but you know, this is basically not only how to be successful in an internship, but basically just have good work ethic. So really great tips here. And I believe we give you 13 of them. Okay. It's always good to put your best foot forward at an internship, even if it might not be the best fit for you. You know, there are internships you think are going to be great, and then you start working them and, you know, you're not having the best time. It's always great to just be positive and still do your best, because you never know with your employer or your supervisor that you might have to contact them again for a reference moving forward for your resume or for, you know, getting another job. You never know. So I always tell my students to make sure, even if it's not the best job that they're in, even if it's not the best internship, that you're trying your best, so that you don't have to look back and go, oh, you know, I don't want to have that person be my reference because I wasn't a very good worker there. Okay, that's a really awkward place to be. Okay, so what happens now? So as I mentioned at the beginning of this PowerPoint, before you even start this process with us, you really do have to already have an internship that you have accepted. That you went after something at a company and you've interviewed and they have offered you the internship and you're going to accept it. Okay, that's where you need to be in order to start this program. So for domestic students, students who are within the US, you obviously need to do the orientation and quiz, which we talked about, and fill out your form. Okay. You will submit your learning objectives to your instructor, me, after consulting, unless you're doing a career specific or major specific course, after consulting with your workplace supervisor. Okay. Please note your instructor and workplace supervisor will all sign off on the learning objectives and they will be used for your final evaluation. Number 3, after receiving your learning objectives and acknowledgement that your internship is 100% remote, your instructor will email you an ad code the first day of the semester. Okay. Even if you are in a career specific or major specific internship course, so in essence, like I'm not your instructor, but there's an instructor in the computer graphics area that's going to be your internship instructor, you will still receive an ad code from me. Okay. For international students, the process is slightly different, so please take note of that if you are an international student. You first need, before you start any of this, you can have your internship, but before you start your orientation or moving forward in the process, you need to meet with your immigration specialist to obtain an eligibility letter for this internship program, okay? So please meet with them before you do anything else, and because we'll need to see that. In fact, we ask you to submit it during this process, during the orientation quiz and form. Okay. Number 3, submit your learning objectives to your instructor after consulting with your workplace supervisor. This is similar to our domestic students. Please note your instructor, workplace supervisor will all sign off on learning objectives and they will be used for your final evaluation. So after receiving your learning objectives and acknowledgement that your internship is 100% remote, your instructor will email an ad code and paperwork to your immigration specialist and you will receive your ad code from your immigration specialist. Number 5 says you need to make an appointment to do that. Okay, so the ad code for international students does not come from your instructor. It never should come from your instructor. It should only come from your immigration specialist. So we have reached the end of our presentation here. So now you need to go and take the quiz. The quiz link is located back on our website. You click that, and if you pass the quiz, we can move on to the next step. If you have any questions, please reach out to the Career Services Center at 310-434-4337, and our email is right there, careerservices@smc.edu. Okay, when you take your quiz, please have your SMC student ID number and student email address ready. Good luck and hope to see you soon.